that real estate in York Region and the GTA is hot, hot, hot right now. Today on the show, we welcome Stefani Konidis. We're taking a behind-the-scenes look at local real estate, finding the right size for your lifestyle, and investing in the market. Welcome to In the Know, Stefani.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, so I'm going to start with a really open-ended, big question. Why is real estate in York Region so attractive right now?
Well, I think you have to look at the bigger market for sure. The Greater Golden Horseshoe is a huge market right now in Ontario. And York Region is a very desirable place to live for several reasons. Of course, its proximity to great cultural things, i.e. downtown. It also has a great diversity of housing, bit larger lot sizes, great schools, great parks, amenities, community centers, and all very close and easy to get to.
And so when you're comparing York Region or the burbs, they were, often referred to as the burbs. Now it's kind of become an extension of the city of Toronto.
Definitely.
When you compare it, kind of your downtown living to your suburban York Region living, what do people need to be aware of?
Well, I think you hit something on the head that, York Region is really just an extension of Toronto, and the Toronto Real Estate Board even sort of played with the idea of changing it to Greater Toronto Real Estate Board at one point. But now, knowing that TREB is a known name, they've stuck with TREB and, servicing the Greater Toronto Real Estate area. So the opportunity to live in York Region really is all about lifestyle.
Okay.
And making options available for your family or whatever your lifestyle is. I think moving forward, people are making the choice to live in York. Some of it has to do with affordability, but really the market is somewhat consistent. So you see the average sale price go up in Toronto. You'll see in the center core. You'll see that happening in York Region as well. So that market has, they really mirror each other in a lot of ways.
Okay. When we're talking about sizes of homes in York Region, and York Region is a vast area, so what you're finding in Vaughan may not be the same as what you're finding in Newmarket. But that being said, what do people need to look for when it comes to the size of their home or finding the right size for their lifestyle?
Well, I think there's a couple things to look at with that. Of course, it's about affordability and what you can afford to purchase. And we tell clients, buy what you can afford and buy what you need. So you're right, what Vaughan has to offer is very different, say, than what Markham has to offer, and very different than what King City, for instance, has to offer. So really knowing what your family's needs are, what that home would look like, what you're using it for, how often you're there. This region does see first, second, third home buyers sometimes. So this is sometimes their primary place to live, but not necessarily where they spend 365 days a year. So knowing what those needs are and buying that house.
What could some of those needs be?
So, if you're talking about the secondary sort of housing need, for instance, some people are looking at a gated community, for instance, which is something unique to York Region, right. Something that the downtown Toronto market wouldn't necessarily offer. The condo market, of course, is diverse in Toronto, more so than it is in York Region, but certainly is in development. You're seeing a lot of towers being developed and, developers looking in that direction because of that diversity of housing and the want for that lifestyle. And then, when you get into the luxury house market, then, how much square footage you want, how big of a lot, how much privacy. And again, what's the price tag that you're able to shop in?
And so speaking in community versus square footage, should you designate kind of a community or an area in the region that you want to focus on?
I think that would also very much depend on what your family's needs are. Proximity to a school. Often a lot of people choose an area because of how a school is rated. or if there's a private school close by or an independent school. And there's more of that options available in York Region all the time. Everything from preschool right through to post-secondary even. So depending on what those needs are, I think that's what you have to sort of focus on, and why it's really important to be working with a buyer agent,
Right.
to help you find what you're looking for.
Right, okay, because there's really so many options. We have some images of a home in Aurora. Tell us, we're going to get these images up on the screen. Tell us what it is we're looking at here in these images.
This is a beautiful detached house, just in the north sort of part of Aurora. Listed around the $2 million mark, with a nice sized lot, fairly newer for Aurora. A beautiful great room you see here, two-story great room, attached sort of beside the kitchen and the dining room in the distance. This is a spacious kitchen with an island, and you can see off to the side the laundry room. So, you know, looking for those sort of very useful spaces. And that's something you can really find in a York Region home, and certainly in this home in Aurora. And out the back of this eating area in the kitchen is a beautiful, beautifully landscaped, very private lot. In this instance, the homeowner actually, from when he built the house, actually turned the house on the lot because wanted the lot to face a certain direction to get the optimal light and be in a court. Actually, it's situated in a court.
Okay. Thank you for showing us that. That was a beautiful home. We have to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about do's and don'ts for upsizing, downsizing, and right-sizing, plus how to choose the right advisor for you and your family. Don't go anywhere. More In the Know after the break. Welcome back to In the Know. We are talking all about investing in York Region real estate today with Stefani Konidis. So we saw that beautiful home in Aurora. Big home.
Big home.
But not the biggest, certainly.
Not the biggest we've seen.
Not the biggest we've seen.
No.
Let's take a look at another one. This one here is in King City, right?
Correct, yes.
All right. And so, wow, that's a beautiful home. What are we looking at here?
This is a beautiful home, actually situated on about 3 acres in rural King, just off of Dufferin. It was custom built home by the owners, and again you can see a 2-story great room, the foyer to the back, beautifully landscaped property with outdoor in-ground pool, which in this case even had a swim-up pool bar, which is not something you see every day. A beautiful custom kitchen, looking over the south-facing lot with really quite pretty views, very private. Situated up a bit, so you sort of see the treetops and some beautiful rolling hills in the back. So a very special house.
Okay, and so that type of home is obviously going to attract a certain type of buyer.
Correct. Yes.
Who's going to want that house? I mean, I think I would love that house.
Yes.
But, lots of factors involved.
There is lots of factors involved, and when you're looking at sort of the luxury property or a premium property, and specifically in the King region, you know, there are different options. So as I mentioned, this was on 3 acres, which some people, that's really all they want to manage. You know, whereas you can get into sort of 50-acre, 100-acre estates in King, which is why it's very desirable in that regard. So really lot size was a big factor in this, where you had a beautifully customized house with all sort of the bells and whistles. That kind of buyer really is looking for some privacy, not too much to maintain. There was quite a lot of interest on this house, actually, even in the price point that it was in, multi-million-dollar price point. But in this case, you know, it's finding the right buyer, and they're coming from all over the world now.
Right.
You know, it's not just local buyers, which, you know, we're hearing more and more about in the media, of course.
Okay, so the complete opposite of that beautiful 3-acre home, because as you mentioned, it's not for everyone.
That's right.
And it is a bit of a niche property, but also a niche is the downsize, is that condo living.
Definitely.
And as we mentioned earlier, we are seeing a little bit of growth in condo living in York Region.
Absolutely, and in a really important part of the housing segment. Where you see, like downtown Toronto, you've seen the average sale price of the condo market going up. Well, you're seeing that in York Region as well. And the trick with York Region is there hasn't been a lot of that in terms of availability.
Right.
There just aren't those, you know, urban sort of density that you see downtown around the Sky Dome and, you know, all along sort of Yonge and King and all those areas. So now we're seeing it pop up in York Region, have been here for some time, just not as much, of course. But you hit an important point where that diversity of housing is very important for people who are going to look to downsize. So, you know, moving out of the 2,000 or 5,000 or 8,000 square foot house, maybe spending less time in the region and want to, you know, still have something here. So they are looking at condos and, like I said earlier, gated communities, for instance. And these condo towers are very popular. You know, we're seeing average sales, you know, quickly going. You know, it used to take maybe months to move some of these products, and now it's weeks or days even.
Right, and so I live in Vaughan, and I'm seeing condo development buildings literally like mushrooms sprouting up, and we're very fortunate to get a subway
Absolutely.
soon, and that, of course, is adding to the density.
Well, and that kind of infrastructure development is really what sort of spurs neighborhoods on, right? So, yes, you're talking Jane and Highway 7, Weston Road and Highway 7, where the landscape is already different. It's
Right.
changed.
Right.
And you're seeing those projects doing very well, some of them selling out. And you see it across the region, Aurora, Markham, King City even, with new developments coming in.
Right, and in that, the culture of the area, and I don't mean ethnic culture, but the culture and the busyness of the area will change as well, compared to somewhere like King City, where you've got the rolling hills and the 10-acre properties.
Absolutely, and again, people wanting to stay in the community that they've always been. So moving out of those homes that we were referring to earlier, maybe the larger estates, or even just, you know, a regular subdivision house that the shopping they've always done, all their friends, all their family, they're in that area. They don't want to have to go downtown Toronto
Right.
to move into a condo, but want condo living now. So we're seeing a lot more of that for sure.
So one point I want to highlight that you mentioned earlier was the congruency between Toronto real estate and York Region real estate, and you're saying they're pretty parallel.
They are, and I pulled out some statistics, just year-over-year statistic, and if you look at average sale price, which is a piece of data that we sort of, you know, hover over, and
Right.
especially in the media, they look at those numbers pretty carefully, and between April 16 and April 17, the stats just came out for those from Toronto Real Estate Board today. In Toronto Central, so see East, West, and Central, a 25.5% increase year over year. York Region in the average sale price, and again, bigger area, smaller population, 25.2% increase in the average sale price. Days on market, I think, is something that you have to look at, where in April 16, Toronto had 12 days on the market. For April 17, so for last month, it was 8.
So half.
Yeah.
Year over year.
A little
bit.
more than
Little more
that.
than half, yeah.
But yeah. And York Region, similar, not the same, 12 in 16, and in 17, 10 days.
Okay.
So absorption rate.
Right.
That's what that sort of talks about. It's still moving very quickly. When you think it, you know, your product can be sort of gone within
It's
less
difficult
than a week
because
in some
it's
cases.
a very big investment, and we're going to talk a little bit about investing in a bit, but it's a very big investment to be making in 10 days.
Well, yes, but also knowing that, buyers are pretty savvy.
Right.
And they haven't necessarily been looking for just 8 days.
Right.
They've been maybe
This is a good
looking
point.
for 8 months or longer.
So when you know what you want, you're going for it.
And you've researched the market. You've been involved in some multiple offers potentially. You've seen other properties. Oh, maybe we should buy, and then it's gone, and all of a sudden it's too late.
All right, we gotta go. It's too
Okay.
late. We have to take a short break. Don't go anywhere. More in the know after the break. Welcome back to In the Know. We're talking all about investing in York Region real estate with Stefani Konidis from Engel Völkers. So choosing the right advisor for all of these decisions is obviously an important one, to say the least.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think something that's really important is we talked about really the strength of this market, and so important to choose the right buyer agent to represent you. And there's a few reasons for that. The first and really most important is obviously finding someone you trust and that has your back and isn't going to push you into a place that may not suit your family or your family's needs. But really important is because of the strength of this market, there's a lot of listings actually that aren't even showing up on MLS. So if your advisor is someone who knows an area, they might have access. And if they're a pro and they're out networking with other, agents in the area, they're going to find out about these. And it's an important part of the market that doesn't always get reported, certainly doesn't show up on even MLS or realtor.ca where a lot of people shop. Online is a huge aspect for shoppers now. But these advisors and agents around would know about these exclusive listings or pocket listings.
Right. Just the other day on my street, we saw a stick go in the ground, and when the for sale sign went up, the sold sign went up at the same time. So it was obviously done prior to hitting a website.
Yes, and because of the strength of the buyers, there's so many buyers in the marketplace. Those kinds of sales will go unnoticed unless you really know someone who's working that area. So an important aspect to consider when shopping.
Okay, so you brought us some toys here.
I did.
Exclusive to Engel and Völkers. Tell us what we have here on the table.
So these are branded Google goggles, basically. They were announced at our Engel and Völkers Exchange conference in Miami in March. And what's special about this is that, so Engel and Völkers is a global company, and we represent buyers and sellers around the world. So to attract people to our markets, I mentioned the online and marketing online. These virtual reality goggles and tours now have been launched with a tech company called Immoviewer. And essentially, Engel and Völkers is the first company to launch this as a company. So it's not just for high-end listings or the listings that people say, oh, we need a virtual tour for that. Engel and Völkers has put this into all of our shops, 188 shops across North America.
Wow. So if you've looked on kind of real estate sites, you will be in virtual tours. I do them all the time.
Yes.
And you're kind of there and you use your mouse and you're around. But this is really cool because you are in the home.
Correct.
Virtually, right?
Yes.
So you take your
phone. So you take your whatever or Android or iPhone device. It works on both platforms with both kinds of phones. And you input it and you pull up the tour with a link, essentially, and then you can be
you're
inside
in the home.
house.
And so this is really cool for people who are maybe buying your York Region home.
Correct.
Because they don't necessarily have to be in your home, or they don't have to be in your home because they've got it virtually. but even buyers internationally
Absolutely.
or in the States even.
Definitely. And feeder markets, right? So there's people from all over the world looking at Toronto and York region. So having this available to view wherever you are is essential now. It's the way things are going.
And this is something that when you have an Engel Völkers advisor, this is something that they will help you out with.
Absolutely. You come into our shop. We're looking to buy in Naples, Florida, or in the Cayman Islands, and we, get in touch with our network there, our advisors there, and they send us, or we link to whatever homes they have available, and they come into our shop on, in King City, and they come and they actually do a view with these in our shop.
Okay.
And that's a strength of the brand. And this is the really cool Theta phone that Theta camera that we shoot our tours on. So really neat technology.
So when you're working with an advisor or a buyer agent, they will bring this into your home to shoot the VR video, the virtual reality video.
Yes.
So then you have it on your listing.
That's right. You have it on your listing, unbranded on your listing, but branded ENV if it's in cyberspace, essentially.
Okay.
And available 24/7. Right. And that's the great thing about these bits of technology.
For sure, because people who are looking for homes, buyers are looking for homes, as you said, months potentially, any time of day, any time of night.
All the time.
So this puts you into that home. Advice for people who are maybe just entering into the market or they're looking to make a move, but York Region is where they want to be. Advice for them?
I think first of all, we talked about the research, people being online. But I'm old school a little bit. Like, get in your car, get out of your car, drive around, walk around, check out the areas that you're attracted to. Do drive times. The reality is, if you're living in, somewhere in York Region, you may or may not be working in York Region. So figure out your commute times, where you need to be at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning. I think, working with a realtor that knows what they're doing in a neighborhood, a professional, that really helps. And then they, in the case of Engel Völkers, they can connect you to buyers or areas that you didn't expect.
All right.
And it could be worldwide.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. That was a wealth of information, and thank you for bringing all of your great tools in. For more information, how can people find you or find more information on ENV?
Engel Völkers is a global company. We're a local shop in York Region, located in King City, Ontario, on Dufferin Street, right across from the Country Day School, which a lot of people know about. Yes. Online, we're york.evcanada.com, and we look forward to meeting up.
Excellent. Thanks so much, and all the best to everyone at home who's watching on your real estate search. Don't forget about York Region, because there's some great properties. We have come to the end of our show. We'll see you here next time on In the Know.